Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's daily thoughts. So today I'm going to be talking about First Chronicles 3 and 4. And as we know, First Chronicles, Second Chronicles, they seem like a repeat of First and Second Kings, but not really. They go into a bit more detail. And so we basically look at genealogies, who gave birth to who did what, and all. And I'd written yesterday about Tamar, so I'm just sharing. She came up again. She seems like the only daughter that David had. And for me, it was just amazing that he had only one daughter, assuming he had only one daughter, because she's the only daughter that I've seen that is attributed to David. And we didn't get to hear of a lot of interactions between him, that's David, and Tamar. It was Tamar, the sister of Absalom, and then in First Chronicles 3, we read of her as they talk about all of David's sons, and then they talk about their sister Tamar. They didn't seem to have a good, a parental relationship between. There seemed to be none between David and Tamar. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is that I believe that children, particularly ladies, need their fathers or their parents. And I just struggle with the fact that we don't get to hear of a lot of interactions between David and his daughter Tamar. At least interacted a bit with his sons. We may not like everything he did with them. And for me, I'm still struggling. Your only daughter gets raped and there's no outrage, there's silence. I don't know, it's just one of the things that stood out to me. I would love to hear your thoughts on this David-Tamar relationship. Was it normal? Was it cultural? And we don't even know who her mother was, but I guess she had the same mother as Absalom. And we just feel, I'm just feeling parental neglect generally from both father and mother, and it just feels like a double blow. My heart bleeds for Tamar, if I would say. Okay, so let's go to First Chronicles 4. We followed the lineage of Judah, and a few things stood out to me. Shelah was the son that Judah was supposed to have given birth to, that he should have given to Tamar after his brothers and Onan died, but they kept Shelah away from Tamar. But we now read more about Shelah here. He goes on to have kids, and he has the next set of kids. He has some of his descendants with linen workers. I don't have a problem with linen workers, but they were a family of linen workers. It was like their family trade. I like the concept of a family trade. Let me start from there. I love the concept of a family trade. I think it's a good one. But I'm just imagine if Tamar had been given to Shelah, then she would have been the grandmother of linen workers, and she may have missed the lineage of Jesus. So I'm of the opinion, of course I can be corrected, that sometimes when things don't go our way and we feel like we've been slighted and all of that, God still knows what he's doing. He's working in the background. He's making boss moves, so trust him. He knows what he's doing. It may not work out the way you want it to work out, but trust me, God is not blindsided. He knows what's up, and it's working together for good. I just wanted to point that out because, I've talked about one Tamar, and we've talked about the second Tamar. God is mindful of us. I love as I'm reading the names of many women, because we get the impression that we don't have so many women in the Bible. Okay, yeah, sorry, I had to go because of the train. The train came as usual. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. So I was saying that I love reading about so many women in this First Chronicles. In just 4 chapters, I was at number 70. By the time I update with today's list, maybe we will reach 80. So I love that because we keep thinking that there were not many women in the Bible, but it's just because they are so packed together. I guess that's why we don't if you read too fast, you'll miss them, particularly those of you that skip genealogies. There's usually gist inside if you calm down. So I was finishing off on Shelah being the ancestor of linen workers, and how Tamar may have missed being in the lineage of Jesus Christ if she had been given to Shelah at the time. And sometimes things work, God works in ways that we cannot explain. I'm going through another way today. So see, this is another way. And why am I going another way? Because I'm on a challenge, a 10,000 steps challenge, and I want to make up my steps. So I want to start from the morning. Now from morning we don't know how day will be. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So sometimes when things are not going the way you planned, almost every time, if not every time, it's still going God's way. God is never blindsided. He never gets to a point where he's like, oh, I didn't envisage that. No, that's not God. You can't catch him in the corner. You can be Judah, be thinking that this time I get familiar spirit. Something is wrong with Tamar. I didn't want to go back there too much, but let's just go back. Because we hadn't started this podcast when I read about the full story back in Genesis. So let me talk a bit about that. So let's talk a bit about the Tamar story. The two Tamars. Let me start with the older Tamar. So Tamar, she's just I can't remember if she was a Moabitess, but she wasn't an Israelite. Judah saw her. He decided that he wanted to marry her for his sons. I mean, she didn't do anything. He picked her up. She married the first one. The Bible says that Er was wicked. I think that was back in 1 Chronicles 3. That Er was wicked, so God killed him. God took responsibility for killing Er. It wasn't a mistake. The Bible says that God killed him. We don't know what his wickedness was, but he was wicked. God killed him. Then his second son, Onan was also wicked. We knew why Onan was wicked. Onan was wicked because he didn't want to raise a hair for his brother, who was wicked like him. So I guess he was just thinking that let's not support his wickedness. So he probably thought, let's just end in with this generation. Let's not move on. And so he refused to raise a hair. So he would sleep with Tamar, and then when it was time to release it, you know what we call the pull-out game these days. He started with Onan, at least that was the first recorded pulling out scenario. And it wasn't pleasing to God. God killed him. I don't know if God likes pulling out or not. I'm not sure. I don't know. I cannot tell you whether it's a yes or no. But in Onan's case, it wasn't the pull-out that was the issue. It was his wickedness, his motive. So for those that want to use it as a justification against, I'm not sure that's your scripture. And for those that want to say anything else, I don't know. Anyway, so let's go back. So now Tamar is twice a widow, and I can imagine that she was already labeled that she's the one killing her husband. So sometimes the way we are looking is not the way God is looking. So you are thinking, oh, this one, first husband died, second husband died, and that's why she wasn't giving Shelah. But we know the rest of the story. Tamar took things in her hands, went and set Judah up, and raised two sons, one of whom became the ancestor of Christ. So we can argue till tomorrow, should Tamar have done it, she shouldn't have done it, that's another story. But it happened. And so I like to tell people that our bloodline, we are not perfect people in our bloodline, but God takes our imperfection and He weaves a beautiful story out of it. So God is never stranded. God is never in a place where you say, oh. And then it takes us to the second Tamar, David's daughter. I think David even had a sister that was called Tamar. So there was something about this Tamar name. Anyway, if I remember, or maybe it was Abigail. That was his. I'll check. I think he had a sister called Tama as well. Anyway, so in this second Tama's case, her brother, for no reason, no fault of hers, her brother goes on and falls in love with her. She didn't do anything to deserve this. She did absolutely nothing to deserve it. But her brother falls in love with her. Her brother gets wrong counsel from his cousin. Because that's another one that really shocked me. The fact, we are just so concerned about making sure that our kids don't make friends with the wrong people. But what about the relatives? It was Anna's cousin that gave him terrible counsel on how he would rape his sister. His cousin. So sometimes the people that you are afraid of outside is in your home. It's in your brother's home. It's in your sister's home. So that's why we cannot afford to just say, oh, I'm raising my own kids well. I don't care what others are doing. It matters. It matters. I know it's not related, but I'll still bring it up. Imagine that a young lady dating a gospel singer. Let's say it tells her that, oh, let's go and meet my parents in Ogun State. I don't know what he told her. And then she goes with him, trusting him. And then she ends up in a body bag with her head to be used for rituals. So you can be saying that I'm raising my own children well. But what of the other people? If you don't look into what they are doing, your children's heads may be what they will use to fuel their ambition. So it concerns all of us. Anyway, back to the story of Tamar and Amnon. So inside David's house, under his roof, his nephew comes and gives his son wrong counsel, terrible counsel, and his son rapes his daughter. Even inside the house, there was no stranger involved in any of these things. So please, I just feel like to talk a bit about this and ask us to be mindful of what is going on in our own household. What are our children consuming? What are our cousins, our nephews, our nieces, our brothers and sisters, what are they doing inside the house? Anyway, back to the original story. The one I want to end with is the children of Ham. If you remember, the children of Ham was the brother of Shem and Canaan. He was the in-between child. He didn't laugh at his father like Canaan did. Actually, he and Shem were the ones that covered his father's nakedness. So it wasn't like there was a curse on Ham. But sometimes if you don't take a stand for something, because in Shem's case, Abraham came out of him and a godly seed was taken out of him. So there was something godly to be counted for in him. And so he was saved. And then the children of Simeon in the days of King Hezekiah, they just go and they go and wipe out every remembrance of Ham. They killed them all. All of them. There was nobody that survived it. I've never seen this in the Bible before. They did nothing. So sometimes you don't just say, oh, I'm good to everybody, I'm kind. You make sure that there is God in your matter. Otherwise, the children of Simeon will come. And on top of that, I just remembered again that Jacob had cursed Simeon. And Simeon did not really amount to much in Israel because they were now counted along with the children of Judah. In the case of Levi, Phineas rose up and he was able to help reverse the curse that Jacob had put on Levi about them being scattered, though it still happened. But in the case of Simeon, nothing was done to fix that curse. They never amounted to anything eventually. I just thought we should know that as we get into Christ and all, we need to also trace and understand what has been spoken concerning us before now. Any curses that need to be reversed, let's work on them. Any blessings that we need to enforce, let's work on them. I'll just like to stop there. God bless you.